Edwards Systems Technology welcomes you to the EST2 End User Operation and Service course. This course includes this 4-part video presentation and the accompanying manual. Part 1 of this video covers general information regarding EST2 operation. Part 2 covers operation of the EST2 audio system. For those who have optional 2 CMDN units and/or stand annunciator panels installed, Part 3 of this video covers those units. And Part 4 covers special functions for EST2 service and maintenance. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll be using an EST2 which has both a paging microphone and a firefighter's telephone system installed. Refer to your system administrator for site-specific information regarding operation of your EST2 system. Be sure to keep the EST2 operation and service manual handy, as everything mentioned in this video is further elaborated on in the manual. Part 1, EST2 operation. With the addition of an integrated emergency audio package, the EST2 system has taken fire alarm technology to another level. Its ease of operation and user-friendly front panel controls are just two of the things which are sure to make the EST2 the wave of the future. Let's take a closer look at the operation of the system. We'll begin by looking at the main operator interface, the LCD display and control panel. Take a look at the general layout of the panel. The top portion contains the normal system LEDs, AC power, alarm, supervisory, trouble, and monitor. In addition, there are some system status LEDs, disabled, ground fault, CPU fail, and tests. The switches directly beneath the LEDs are the system switches: reset, alarm silence, local silence, and drill. The bottom right switch of these is the user-defined switch, which can be programmed to perform a desired function. In the center is the LCD display. Beneath the LCD display are the up and down arrow review switches. These are used to review messages within the system. At the bottom is a 12-button keypad and associated special function switches used for programming and service. To the right of the panel are the optional LED switch annunciator modules, which can be programmed to show site-specific information. Note that pressing the alarm silence and local silence switches at the same time activates the system's lamp test function, which tests all the LEDs on the control panel and adjacent LED switch annunciator modules if installed. The lower portion of the EST2 cabinet houses the emergency audio system, which includes a paging microphone and a firefighter's telephone. The microphone with its push-to-talk switch provides system page switches which enable the operator to page to any of the following designated audio channels: phone to evac, phone to alert, page to evac, page to alert, evac, and alert. The firefighter's telephone consists of the master telephone handset, the silence call-in switch, and the phone call-in silenced LED. First, let's look at the LCD display under normal conditions. Note that on the top line, starting from the left, is the time in 24-hour format, number of active points, AP, and the number of disabled points, DP, in the system. An active point indicates an off-normal condition, which may be an alarm, supervisory, monitor, or trouble condition. A disabled point indicates a point which has been manually disabled by the system administrator. The bottom line of the screen is often customized to indicate the site's name. This is the screen you will see most often. The top left green LED indicates that the AC power is working properly. Should this light go out, it indicates that the AC power has been lost and the system will transfer to its standby power. The EST2 system reports 4 basic conditions within the system: alarm, supervisory, monitor, and trouble. It is important to note that these conditions are prioritized. What this means is that when off-normal points are detected within the system, they're going to be displayed according to their level of priority or importance. The order in which they are presented here is their prioritization order. When looking at messages, note that each device or point in the EST2 system, whether it be a detector, pull station, etc., is assigned a specific number or address and is accompanied by a message that corresponds to the type and location of the device. For example, an alarm message might look like this. Remember that alarm messages always have the highest priority. They must be acknowledged via the local silent switch before any other messages will be displayed. When all alarm messages have been acknowledged, supervisory messages can be reviewed. After reviewing and acknowledging the supervisory messages, monitor messages may be reviewed. Finally, after all of the other messages have been reviewed and acknowledged, the trouble messages can be acknowledged. Now that you've got your priorities straight, so to speak, let's get down to the specifics of the system. We'll start by discussing what to do when the system receives an alarm. The alarm mode is activated when an alarm device in the system detects a fire condition. These devices may be smoke detectors, as shown here, manual pull stations, or other fire detection devices. An activation by one of the alarm devices tells you that there is a fire in the area. When an alarm is detected by the system, it is indicated by the alarm LED on the main panel. An example of an operator's response to an alarm might be: A. Ensure all occupants within the area have been evacuated. B. Notify the fire department if your system does not do so automatically. The exact location of the alarm is displayed on the LCD display and on the LED switch annunciator panel if one is installed in your system. C. After you locate the source of the alarm, press the local silent switch to acknowledge the message and silence the internal buzzer. If another device goes into alarm, the internal buzzer will sound again, and a new message will appear. Press the Alarm Review down switch to view any additional alarm points. Until the panel has had all messages reviewed and acknowledged, these messages will remain in the system memory and may be reviewed with the Alarm Review up switch. A typical message display might look like this. Notice the portion labeled M. This part of the window is very important because it lets you know how many messages are stored in the panel's memory. The most recent alarm location is first on the list, and additional messages follow. D. Once all of the fire alarm messages have been acknowledged, the fire department has been notified, and the fire has been extinguished, the audible alarm signals such as horns and bells may be silenced via the alarm silence switch, but only by those authorized by the local fire authority to do so. In most cases, this will be the fire department's responsibility. Under no circumstances should you silence an alarm without proper authority to do so. This will silence the audible circuits, but the strobe circuits and other visual devices will continue to operate. Should another point go into alarm, the alarm silence will cancel and the audibles will sound again. When all signs of danger have been removed and the area deemed safe for occupancy, the fire department authority on scene will restore the panel to normal operation by pressing the reset switch. Another mode of system operation is the supervisory mode. A supervisory condition means that some part of the fire protection system other than alarm devices is off normal. An example of this would be a closed sprinkler system. The supervisory alert will be indicated by an LED on the control panel and a message identifying the specific device or area that initiated the alarm. Again, messages may be acknowledged by pressing the local silence switch. The messages may then be reviewed by pressing the up and down arrow supervisory review switches. In the case that a supervisory condition exists, only authorized personnel should investigate the area where the supervisory condition is and take the necessary actions to rectify the situation if required. Once the supervisory condition has been corrected or returned to normal, the messages will disappear and the panel will restore to the normal condition. The next mode we'll examine is the monitor condition. A monitor condition means that equipment monitored by the fire alarm system, but unrelated to an emergency condition, is in an off-normal condition. Some typical causes of a monitor condition include open or unsecured doors and disabled fan systems. Often, monitor conditions do not indicate a problem, but simply show the current status of a specific item. If you suspect a problem, notify certified or designated personnel to investigate. The monitor LED will light on the panel, but unless specifically programmed to do so, no message will appear. The active point counter will increment, but no buzzer will sound. Ordinarily, the specific point being monitored will be enunciated by a designated LED on the LED switch annunciator modules. What is a trouble condition? A trouble condition indicates that some portion of the fire alarm panel is not functioning properly, which may affect the integrity of the fire alarm system and its ability to report a fire condition. A trouble condition should be repaired only by authorized service personnel. As with alarm and supervisory conditions, a trouble condition is indicated by an LED on the panel and by a message on the display. Press the local silent switch to acknowledge the message and review any additional trouble conditions with the Trouble Review up and down switches. Once the trouble has been repaired by certified personnel, the message will disappear from the panel memory and the system will return to normal. Part 2, EST2 audio system operation. Let's take a quick look at the functions of the components which make up the EST2 audio system. The paging microphone, which has a push-to-talk switch, is used for making announcements. The microphone will not transmit any messages until the push-to-talk switch has been operated and the pre-announcement tone has ended. The phone-to-evac switch LED is used to connect the firefighter's telephone to the paging system and direct the output of the paging system to those areas in the facility automatically receiving the evacuation signal. The phone system can then be used to page in the evacuation area. Refer to site-specific information to determine the definition of your site's evacuation and alert areas. Note that pressing any of the switch LEDs will cause that switch's LED to illuminate. The phone to alert switch LED is used to connect the firefighter's telephone to the paging system and direct the output of the paging system to those areas in the facility automatically receiving the alert signal. The phone system can then be used to page in the alert area. The page to evac switch is used to enable the microphone and direct the output of the paging system to those areas in the facility automatically receiving the evacuation signal. The microphone can then be used to page in the evacuation area. The page to alert switch is used to enable the microphone and direct the output of the paging system to those areas in the facility automatically receiving the alert signal. The microphone can then be used to page in the alert area. The evac switch is used to manually activate the evacuation signal. The areas of the facility which you want to receive the evacuation signal must also be manually selected using the LED switch annunciator module. Refer to your site-specific instructions for information as to how to select specific areas within your facility. The alert switch is used to manually activate the alert signal. Again, the areas of the facility which you want to receive the alert signal must also be manually selected using the LED switch annunciator module. The master handset provides two-way communications with firefighters' telephones located throughout the facility. The handset should remain on the hook when not in use. The silence call-in switch is used to turn off the internal call-in buzzer, which sounds whenever a remote firefighter's telephone is trying to call the master handset. The phone call-in LED lights whenever the silence call-in switch has been activated, indicating the buzzer has been manually silenced. Next, let's look at the basic EST2 audio system operation. In an alarm condition, the system activates the audio system and turns on the evac and alert channel outputs. Distribution of these audio outputs is done automatically by the system components. Emergency pages are used to issue instructions to occupants in the facility. For example, a page might be issued to remind occupants to follow their evacuation routes and not to use the elevators. System paging can be accomplished by using one of two methods, either through the paging microphone or the firefighter's telephone. First, we'll look at how to page using the microphone. To issue an emergency page, remove the microphone from its compartment and select which areas you would like to page to. For example, press the page to evac switch to direct the page to the evacuation area, or press the page to alert switch to direct the page to the alert area. The LED in the switch lights, indicating the switch is active. Next, press the push-to-talk switch, wait for the pre-announced tone to end, and speak into the microphone. To manually sound the evacuation signal, press the evac switch and operate the zone switches on the LED switch annunciator panel for those areas which are to receive the evacuation signal. Refer to your specific panel instructions for specific zone selection information. To manually sound the alert signal, press the alert switch and operate the zone switches on the LED switch annunciator panel for those areas which are to receive the alert signal. Next, we'll look at how to use the firefighter's telephone. When an incoming call is received by the audio system, a buzzer sounds indicating an incoming call. Remove the handset and press the Silence Call-In switch, which will cause the call-in silence LED to illuminate. Then you should press the Telephone Circuit Select switch, indicated by the call-in LED, to connect the incoming call. Refer to your specific panel instructions for telephone selection information. To page using the firefighter's telephone, you need to establish communications with the telephone circuit, which is to make the page. Press the Phone to Evac switch to direct the telephone page to the evacuation area. Or press the Phone to Alert switch to direct the telephone page to the alert area. Then you must wait for the pre-announcement tone to end, approximately 5 seconds. Once the tone is finished, you're ready to page by speaking into the telephone. The 2CMDN provides an LCD display in addition to 4 LEDs to indicate normal, alarm, supervisory, and trouble conditions. The normal LCD display consists of the current date, time, and number of unacknowledged messages in the 2CMDN. In an alarm condition, the display shows the alarm type and the input zone address if the 2CMDN has been programmed to do so. A custom message may also be programmed into the unit to provide further alarm information. Part 3, Optional 2CMDN and SAN Annunciator Operations. The 2CMDN is an optional remote alphanumeric annunciator slave to the EST2 host system. Also available for use with the EST2 system is the 2LSRA remote annunciator. This unit has essentially the same functionality of the 2CMDN, except that it may only be accessed by way of a password. For the purposes of this demonstration, we'll be looking at the 2CMDN. Check with your system administrator regarding specific functions of any annunciators which are part of your EST2 system. Below the LCD display are the 4 LEDs. The normal LED indicates that the system has no faults or off-normal conditions. The alarm LED indicates that an alarm condition exists within the host system. When a supervisory condition is detected by the system, the 2CMDN supervisory LED will light. If a message for that supervisory input has been programmed into the 2CMDN, a message will show on the LCD display. If no message has been programmed to appear, the LCD display will remain normal. The same applies to a trouble condition. When a trouble condition is detected by the system, the 2CMDN trouble LED will light. If a message for that trouble input has been programmed into the 2CMDN, a message will show on the LCD display. If no message has been programmed to appear, the LCD display will remain normal. Messages received by the 2CMDN can be acknowledged and reviewed by using the back and next acknowledge switches as shown here. Note that all messages are capable of being acknowledged through the EST2 panel. It is not a requirement to manually acknowledge messages at the 2CMDN. The EST2 system will automatically acknowledge and silence any message via the local silence switch. Once the message has been restored, the EST2 panel will restore the 2CMDN. The last message acknowledged via the EST2 panel will stay on the 2CMDN display. To remove this message, press the back and next act button simultaneously. Now we'll move on to look at the optional SAN series remote annunciator panels. These panels are used for point annunciation and remote switching functions at locations distant from the control panel, in this case the EST2. Keep in mind that the functions of SAN panels, such as the SAN4, the RSAN6, and the SAN8, vary according to site-specific information programmed into the fire alarm system. Be sure to check with your building administrator to discuss the specific functions of your SAN panel. For the purpose of this training package, we will be using the SAN4 panel. Let's take a look at what makes up a SAN remote annunciator and how it works in conjunction with the EST2 system. A SAN remote annunciator may consist of several components. This particular SAN4 has a 2 SANCOM control module, an SLU16 remote annunciator LED module, an SWU8 remote annunciator LED and switch module, and a SHOW 4 remote annunciator LED and switch module installed. The 2 SANCOM provides LEDs for the following conditions: power, alarm, supervisory, trouble, security, alarm silence, trouble silence, and drill all call. The functions of these LEDs vary depending on how the system has been programmed. The power LED shows that the annunciator is indeed receiving power. The alarm LED indicates a system alarm condition. The supervisory condition is indicated by the supervisory LED. The trouble LED indicates a trouble condition, and the security LED indicates a security condition. The alarm silence LED indicates that audible notification appliance circuits have been silenced via the alarm silence switch. The trouble silence LED indicates that the 2-SANCOM trouble buzzer has been silenced via the trouble silence switch. The drill all call LED indicates that a drill all call has been activated. In addition to the LEDs, the 2-SANCOM also has 5 switches for the following functions: reset, alarm silence, trouble silence, drill all call, lamp test, and enable disable. Once again, the functions of these switches depend on what they have been programmed to do. The reset switch may be programmed to reset the system. The alarm silence switch may be programmed to silence the system's audible notification appliance circuits. The trouble silence switch silences the local trouble buzzer within the 2-SANCOM. If programmed to do so, all audible and visual devices may be activated using the drill all-call switch. The lamp test switch is used to test all LEDs on SAN Option modules. 2-SANCOM controls may be enabled or disabled by using the enable-disable key switch. Next, we'll look at the SLU-16R. This panel has 16 red LEDs for remote annunciator applications. Note that the SLU-16Y is identical to the SLU-16R, except that it has 16 yellow LEDs. When a predefined problem is detected within the system, the appropriate LEDs will light up to report the condition. Let's move on and take a look at the SWU-8, which has 16 LEDs and 8 switches used for remote switching and annunciator applications. When a predefined problem is detected within the system, the appropriate LEDs will light up to report the condition. Each switch can be programmed for a specific operating function on the system. The final panel we'll discuss is the Show 4 annunciator. The Show 4 provides 4 3-position rotary switches and 12 LEDs for remote switching and annunciator applications. When a predefined problem is detected within the system, the appropriate LEDs will light to report the condition. The 4 green LEDs are lit directly by the adjacent switch when in the center or neutral position, and all other LEDs are controlled by the system software. Again, each switch can be programmed for a specific operating function on the system. Part 4, EST2 Service and Maintenance. You've heard about the basic EST2 panel operation. Now it's time to get a more detailed description of some of the EST2 functions which are primarily used when servicing the system. It should be remembered that any testing, repairing, or shutting down any part of a fire alarm system may require prior notification to the local fire department and/or the building's owner. The lower third portion of the control panel consists of the numeric keypad and 8 advanced function keys, which are status, program, enable, disable, activate, restore, reports, test. The keypad consists of 10 numeric keys, an enter key, and a delete key. These keys are used to enter passwords and selections offered by the various advanced function keys. Pressing any of the function keys will activate that function's sub-menu. The first screen that you'll see in most of these functions will ask for a password. The 4-digit password level varies from function to function, ranging between 1 and 3, with 1 having the lowest level of access. The appropriate password must be used for whichever level is selected. Let's take a look at the various functions and their sub-menus. We'll start with the status key. The status function is used to look at the basic conditions, power, communication, etc., of the main system and its circuits. Either the level 1, 2, or 3 password is required to use the status function. After entering the password, press the Enter switch and you'll see this screen. If you want to scroll through the status screen, press Enter. And if you want to exit the status function, press Delete. When you scroll through the status screens, the first screen you'll see is the General Status screen. This shows the status of system power, the printer, ground faults, local annunciator, and the dialer. A normal parameter is indicated by a 0, and a fault is indicated by a 1. Any faults indicated in the status display may be repaired only by authorized service personnel. Continuing to press the enter switch reveals the loop status screen. This displays the status of the signature data circuit on the main controller module, loop 1. The next loop status screen, loop 2, shows the status of the signature data circuit on the expander loop module if one is installed in your system. It's important to note that in this screen, an indication of 1 indicates either a fault or an activated function, and a 0 indicates a normal or inactive function. Pressing the enter switch will list all disabled devices by address and all on or active devices, lights, bells, horns, etc., by condition, priority, and address. If these conditions do not exist, the related screens will not be displayed. To exit the status function and any of the other functions, press the delete key. Now let's look at the disable function. This function requires a level 2 or 3 password. The disable function allows the operator to disable any of the following: zones, messages, time controls, data lines, panels, actions, sequences, laptops, mapping. It's important to note that the components are not turned off. They're simply disabled or taken out of service and are not responded to by the system controller. For example, if a service technician wanted to work on some part of the system but needed to keep the system up and running, he could simply disable that panel and perform the necessary repairs while leaving the devices on the main loop operational. The number of disabled points will increment on the DP display. Additionally, the status function can be used to determine which points are disabled. The activate function, which requires a level 1, 2, or 3 password, may be used to turn on the following system components: output, actions, sequences, smoke level 1 and smoke level 2. These components can be activated and tested independently with this function. For example, if you wanted to turn on a visual notification appliance circuit to ensure that all were functional, you could activate that output by address and priority without interfering with the rest of the system. The restore function, which also requires a level 1, 2, or 3 password, restores the components which were previously activated. This command will return outputs, actions, and sequences to their normal supervisory state. The enable function allows you to enable system items which were disabled by the disable function. This function also allows you to enable time controls which are automatically disabled by a system restart. The enable function requires a level 2 or 3 password. You may enable zones, zone messages, time controls, data lines, panels, actions, sequences, laptops, and mapping. Displaying or printing reports is accomplished through the reports function. This function requires a level 1, 2, or 3 password. Two types of available reports are sensitivity and history. Sensitivity reports can be viewed on the display panel or can be printed. History reports are automatically sent to the printer and cannot be viewed on the panel display. When the sensitivity report option is selected, these sub-menus come up. After you choose whether to view the report on the panel or to print them, you'll be asked which devices you want on the sensitivity report. You may select all to view all of the points, or range to select a specific point where you'd like to begin viewing. When viewing the sensitivity report, pay close attention to the part of the display labeled Maintenance Level. This displays the maintenance information for the detectors. If this percentage is 0%, the detector is perfect. A display of 80% should be considered a maintenance alert, and the detector should be serviced. If a detector's maintenance level reaches 100%, it will automatically shut off to avoid nuisance alarms, and it will report its trouble condition. Next, let's take a look at the test function. The test function requires a level 2 or 3 password and can be set for either silent or audible operation by the system programmer. Placing the panel in a silent test mode permits the functional testing of individual initiating devices without operating the notification appliances. In an audible test mode, notification appliance circuits, bells, horns, strobes, etc., are activated for 1 second to test for proper alarm response. Then they are restored to normal. An important note here is that if an actual fire alarm were to occur during testing, The alarm would be displayed on the panel and the system would perform its pre-programmed functions, such as off-premise notification. Therefore, as a precaution, if 30 minutes goes by without a device being tested, the system will automatically restore itself to normal operating mode. The final function we'll examine is the program function. All of the program functions except restart can only be accessed with a level 3 password. Restart can be accessed with a level 2 or 3 password. Note that you will be prompted to enter the password after selecting the function you wish to execute. As shown here, the program mode is used to configure the system date, time, passwords, and communication configuration. It is also used to restart, reboot, and reconfigure, auto-program the system. Well, that covers the basic operation and service functions for the EST2 system. For further information, review the self-study course and your manual. Then view this tape again.